President Biden's $1.9 trillion stimulus package passed the House of Representatives.
The mask mandate ends today. How will Texans react?
UNT's aviation program celebrates 10 years of launching careers to new heights.
Broadcasting live from the University of North Texas, this is NTTV Nightly News.
Let's check in with our weather anchor, Hannah Gonzalez, to see if the humidity is going to go anytime soon. Hannah?
That's right, Michelle. We saw high humidity in Denton today. We were sitting at 60%, but let's look at the current conditions in Denton right now.
Thanks, Michelle. I'm here outside the Denton ISD building that, like many school districts, have postponed their STAR testing.
That's right, Andrew. Spring break is in full swing, and many are headed out to the airports to enjoy their time off.
Our reporter Jocelyn Lassiter is live at the building that will soon become a refuge for Denton's homeless.
Thanks, Andrew. I'm here at what will soon be the new location for the new Denton's homeless shelter.
CNN's Camilla Bernal has the story.
My opinion was that
One of the key elements of the stimulus package is a push to accelerate COVID-19 vaccine delivery. Officials at Walgreens say that they've administered around 5 million vaccines in their stores, clinics, and long-term facilities. While all of this good news about vaccines is exciting to hear, it's still important to get tested when possible in order to ensure the safety of the public.
Today marks the second day of jury selection for the Derek Chauvin trial.
Andrew, can you tell us if UNT has been administering the Johnson & Johnson vaccine, and if they have, for how long?
Well, Kayla, UNT has offered the Johnson & Johnson vaccine, but that isn't the only one available through the Health and Wellness Center. Now, while vaccines have become widely available, it is still important to get tested.
Domino's in Houston has given their phrase, Domino's delivers, a new definition. And if you happen to pay for that futuristic pizza with a MasterCard, you'll also be a part of a new way to monitor the environment.
But before we go to the break, let's take a look at NTTV's Storm Resource Board. We have a number of websites and useful information for you if you were impacted by the storm.
That's right, Donald. Winter Storm Uri devastated many parts of North Texas. Restoration services are underway to repair these issues. Crews continue to work through the week and weekend to restore Eagle Landing from damage sustained during the recent winter storm. For hours and news on dining services, you can visit www.dining.unt.edu/hours.
Thanks for joining us on NTTV News at noon. I'm Gabby Carden. We begin with a breaking news story of a school shooting here in North Texas. Our reporter Michaela Goose has more. Thanks, Gabby. Here's what we know about the Timberview High School shooting in Mansfield, Texas that occurred just a few hours ago. Police officers have said that so far at least 4 students are confirmed injured, and we have footage from inside the building. This is an unconfirmed video, but we want to warn viewers that the images may be disturbing. Multiple ambulances have been seen outside of the campus, and sources say that there are several confirmed injured, one of which may have been a teacher. The Assistant Chief of Police of Arlington, Kevin Colby, had this to say.
We do have a suspect who's identified, okay? What we believe happened preliminary is that there was a fight between a student and another individual in a class, and a gun was used, and there are 4 victims. I'm here to identify a person of interest right now is Timothy George Simpkins. It's S-I-M-P-K-I-N-S. He is a black male, 18 years of age. We have a car that he is currently driving, or we believe is driving, is a 2018 silver Dodge Charger. License plate P as in Paul, F as in Frank, Y as in Yankee, 6260. We currently have multiple agencies, including the U.S. Marshals Task Force, that is looking for this individual.
Once again, police are looking for this man, 18-year-old Timothy George Simpkins, who is possibly driving a 2018 silver Dodge Charger, and that license plate is PFY 6260. Parents and family are being asked to go to 1110 West Debbie to be reunited with their children. And students, Mansfield ISD has officially issued an all clear, but this is an ongoing situation and we will continue to update you with any information tonight on our 6 p.m. nightly show.
The former Dallas police officer, Brian Reiser, who was arrested on charges related to capital murder, was released today. Prosecutors agreed that they lacked the evidence needed to move forward with the case. All charges of capital murder were dropped. Reiser has served 13 years on the Dallas police force, but was fired after he was charged in this investigation. A Bailey Hutchins Convention Center in Dallas has just opened its doors to 3,000 migrant children, following an order put in place by the Biden administration. This to accommodate the recent surge of immigrants in Texas. CNN's Britt Conway has the story.
A harrowing wake-up call for the people of Waco after a semi-truck collided with a train, engulfing in flames Tuesday morning. CNN's Sierra Shipley is covering the story. Other dangerous chemicals were being transported at the rear of the train, but none were affected by the collision.
Today marks the second day of jury selection for the Derek Chauvin trial. The former Minneapolis police officer is facing second-degree murder and manslaughter charges in the 2020 death of George Floyd. A total of 12 jurors and 2 alternate jurors must be seated before the trial can begin, and they have seated 5 so far. Chauvin is pleading not guilty to both of his charges. 4 minutes and 37 seconds. That's how far away Texas was from a complete blackout after the state's power grid struggled against last week's winter storm. That information came out today in an emergency ERCOT board meeting. Meanwhile, 5 of ERCOT's board members who lived outside of the state have resigned. Governor Greg Abbott welcomed those resignations and recommitted his efforts into investigating the events that led to nearly 4 million Texans losing power. ERCOT controls 90% of Texas's power grid, and controlled outages were used in order to prevent a blackout that officials said would have lasted months to repair. Officials will now have to decide if Texas's power grid will need new sets of regulations in order to prevent another disaster.
More than 100 U.S. companies filed a joint letter calling for Congress to pass legislation that would grant Dreamers a pathway to citizenship. Dreamers were brought to the U.S. illegally as children and have now been at the forefront of battling the coronavirus pandemic. The companies that are part of this coalition warn that failure to pass any legislation would result in a loss of billions of dollars in GDP and taxes, while continuing the immigration limbo that many face. Earlier this year, Democrats introduced their own immigration bill that would provide a pathway to citizenship for nearly 11 million undocumented immigrants. But the bill faces a steep battle in the Congress where Democrats hold a thin majority.
It's been a political battle whether to provide money to Americans hit by the pandemic and the economic downturn. How much money and who should get it? But finally, Congress has approved a nearly $2 trillion bill that will not only give money to Americans, but also provide COVID relief. Karen Kafa has the story.
May change the immigration conversation. On April the 20th, the Bush Center in Dallas will open a new exhibit with a collection of 43 oil painting portraits of immigrants, painted by former President George W. Bush himself, including the portrait of a Dallas College professor.
He's told me at that moment, you know, Carlos, I really would like to paint your portrait. You are from El Salvador. You have a very interesting life. I mean, you cannot even imagine a president painting your portrait.
The exhibit will promote Bush's new book, Out of Many One, in which the stories of these immigrants are featured to put a positive light on immigrants' contribution to the U.S.
One of the main ideas in his book is reshape the way people see immigrants.
Correct.
How do you think he's gonna do that?
It's changing the conversation, because the immigrant conversation is driven by fear. I think it's gonna impact the dialogue Because here you have a book that talk about a diverse group of individuals. Not everyone is the same. There are 35 nationalities. And one of the persons in the book is President Bush housekeeper. And what the president says about her. So for the president to express that gratitude towards a second mother being a Mexican immigrant, that speaks loud how diverse we are and what we bring to this amazing country.
UNT's police department joins the green race by adding 5 hybrid vehicles to their fleet.
Like this, I saw the advertisements that a hybrid patrol vehicle was even available in the Ford Explorer, which is what we were already using. I was like very excited to go out and test drive it, just because I know we have this We Mean Green philosophy. We're happy to fit into that.
So the way that this vehicle works is that when they are traveling at very slow speeds or even just idling, they are going to automatically switch to electric mode, which means less fuel used, less carbon emissions, less pollution, and less impact on the environment.
As you can hear, the one behind us just starts when he wants to. And then turns off and saves gas for 15 minutes or so, which is kind of neat.
Our marked patrol vehicles are for performing standard police activities on the campus. We frequently had to fill up with gas. I don't have to do as much with this now. Good kind of changes it is with all the equipment inside of our vehicle. A lot of times it can drain the batteries. So when we didn't have the hybrids, we were kind of had to leave the vehicles running in order to keep our equipment up and running. Camera systems, the radar, radio, all that stuff. If you have to have the engine running to keep from draining that car's battery. With this right here, it's not so much draining the batteries as much as it works off that battery, so I don't have to have the gas engine running right now. If I activate this button and pull that out, it basically will alert that, or lets what they call police engine idle. So it lets us know that now it's operating off the batteries, and so I don't have to worry about it getting turned off or draining the other batteries, and it works. The police department, we're always very progressive at trying to look at what the next thing is and what fits the university's mission and our mission.
Fits in, and anything that we can do that sort of helps us fit into that mission and get positive stories out and stuff about the things we try to do, I think it's great.
After completing their scholar duties, kids from all over the Metroplex meet daily at the Garland Police Boxing Gym, a gym that's unique in many ways.
Here in the gym, we have 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 police officers. 4 of them are here daily trying to help the kids. They make it possible and fight for us to have enough to support the kids.
With daily efforts from their coaches, family members, and the police officers, this gym became the house of 2 national champions.
We have a kid here at the gym that just won nationals last year.
I had to fight 3 times. All were pretty hard, but at the end, I came out victorious. My coach has always told me whether I'm a world champ or not, he wants us to be good people in life and have a good future outside of boxing.
The girl has 4 years of fighting experience, but it's hard for girls in boxing. There isn't a lot of girls in boxing. We talked to her and she decided she was ready.
I've been here for about 4 years. Started training last year in September, and it was like nervous. And then right when I got in the ring, my coaches always tell me when you're in the ring, it's war time.
Boxing is a sport that involves violence, and to avoid that from getting to the streets, the relationship between the youth and the police officers in the community is key.
Without our youth, without our community, us as police officers, our job is non-existent. The more that we understand each other, the easier this job and life is. So you're not alone. We care about you. Police officers, non-police officers, coaches, reach out and ask for help.
One thing is saying it, and another is living through it. As the main coach in the gym, Americo Santos fights hard so that his boxers don't go through what he went through.
I had drug addiction problems when I was younger, and I was involved in gangs, but thanks to God, boxing helped me overcome that, which resulted in my kids not ending in the streets.
Buenos días para todo el norte de Texas, esperamos que se encuentren bien.
Hoy les tenemos un show increíble con invitados de lujo.
Twiggy y yo habíamos platicado de tener nuestro propio negocio un día y desde chicas hemos crecido con plantas. Nuestro papá tiene una compañía de plantas.
Y dime un poquito del trabajo que haces ahorita con Galería Gómez, o sea, ¿qué tipos de trabajos haces?
Pues en Galería Gómez yo hago mucho arte que es definido por diferentes dichos en español.
Sí, aquí estamos para hablar un poco más acerca de este tema tan interesante para todos nosotros.
Muchísimas gracias, doctora. Vamos a empezar con...
Estados Unidos lo vio entre los Philadelphia Eagles y los Cowboys, un juego que quedó 41-21. ¿Qué fue lo que te gustó de Dallas? La verdad es que sí, no sé si estoy correcto, pero creo que jugó mejor que Zeke. Ahora en este tercer juego vimos a ese Zeke.
Bien, gracias.
Muy bien, gracias. Bienvenida.
Padre. Entonces, ¿nos pueden platicar un poco acerca de su negocio y qué hacen?
4 de los más vendidos en La Llamita. Tenemos la butifarra, tenemos el...
Noté de que viniste a los Estados Unidos. De hecho, migraste a diferentes lugares varias veces durante tu niñez.
¿Sí?
¿Cómo fue de que...?
Es una mezcla de carne de bistec con cebolla y algunos... no es nada picante o picoso.